There's also other different types of cultures that are trying to come into New Orleans as well, like the stand-up comedy scene sort of is slowly growing, and that's because there's been more room to grow now. Now that like jazz and cooking like cooking culture and other mainstream cultures of art and other things in New Orleans has grown to this sort of like ultimate form, and now there's a space for people, different subcultures and cultures to grow in New Orleans. So, as it working, as could it be like a mainstream culture? It absolutely can. Could it be a subculture as well? It's still fun either way.
So, as far as phone apps go, do you feel like the appearance of phone apps highlighted the exposure of gaming to new levels?
Phone apps, gaming on phone apps, I personally hate. I think it's limiting. It's just a tactic to. It's a more obvious tactic of trying to get your money. It's like, video games. They want some of your money, but at least they offer you more than just app games. App games, they're just straight up like, here's some beta stuff. If you want even more, you gotta pay this amount, and it seems like very little. You could pay like $1, but even then, there's after tax and a bunch of other stuff, yada yada. And I'm just not a big fan of mobile app games. I think they sort of take away of what's trying to be games. There are some good mobile app games out there that are interesting in themselves, but there's very few of them enough to make a huge difference. A lot of the games I'm not a big fan of, and they're more obvious about their money grabbing than actual video games and board games themselves. And make it feel less worth it, by the way.
So when the Pokemon Go came into play, I feel like this blurred the lines between true gamers and those who just stand
Blurred the lines as in hard to read?
Made it mesh the culture.
Oh, sure, yeah. Sure. Pokemon Go definitely blurred the lines in some aspects. There are so many people. I have friends who used to play Pokemon that just started playing Pokemon again because of Pokemon Go, because of the excitement and hype and just the idea of like replaying their childhood in a sort of like, I guess, in an adult app way. For me, I still play Pokemon, and I'm an adult as well. So like for me, Pokemon Go, I don't really enjoy. I didn't like it because it didn't have any of the rulings of the normal Pokemon games. But I understand why it's fun as well. So is it an awful game? Some ways it came out and it didn't really help improve anything or whatever, but it definitely made this. It definitely sort of relabel some things, or the idea we think of gaming culture and stuff like that. But Pokemon Go has also done some good things, and it also sort of, a lot of my friends, when they started playing Pokemon Go and then they realized that like all this Pokemon stuff that's been happening without them, they found it fun again, and it sort of sparked an inner kid in them again. So in some ways it sort of meshed them together.
Get together and go to pubs and go from bar to bar and drink and eat and socialize. What do you think this has done to getting people? The biggest issue that people have in gaming is that it comes against people less social, keeps them jammed up in the house. Do you think that this is added to destroy that mentality or that thought process that it takes in the social paradigm?
No, I think it was, yep. I think Pokemon Go hasn't destroyed the idea of a social life or becoming more social. I think it actually helped in some ways because when you try to create new friends or you're trying to speak to new people that you never met before, you have no idea how it's going to work out, you don't have really anything to relate off of. If you play a game that you both play, there's something that already is there for both of you to talk about. It's sort of like in the sense of when you go on your first date. Usually you go out on a movie or dinner, and then you have something to relate to. You both saw or ate the same, you both saw the same thing or you ate at the same place. And basically that gives you something to talk about and spark other different conversations. With Pokemon Go, it's sort of like that for building new friends. You're like, oh, I caught this too. We're playing the same game. Cool. Sometimes people take it a little too far with the team thing, but more than that, it's definitely a good way to sort of spark conversation. I think it helps in some ways with a social aspect. But I also seen on the internet that there are some people who take it way too far. But for those who don't take it to an extreme level, it definitely helps them create some friends.
What do you see happening? Merging more into virtual reality, such as what we saw with Pokemon Go and also the way it just came in, but then it died out really quickly. Is that going to quench the thirst of used to game franchises that's asked for multiple decades? Is that going to streamline as far as virtual reality is going to do with the game?
The future of gaming in general is, things are moving at the speed of light and popular stuff comes and goes, but the same idea still exists. The idea of making gaming sort of more, video gaming specifically, more athletic. There's people that are trying to make it more real than it can ever be. Sometimes they take a step too far, sometimes they go in the right direction. For Pokemon Go, it was trying to make people walk around for gaming, and that made it more athletic. And then there's people that have the VR stuff with the, what is that called? It's the virtual reality goggles stuff, and a lot of those people have that Oculus. There we go, that Oculus. They have the Oculus and stuff like that, and it's cool. It's a great idea, and it's definitely an idea that will be in development. For me, I like the old-fashioned gaming of looking at a TV screen or playing a board game, or when I'm playing the video game just on the controller and stuff like that. That's fine for me. Some people like to take it a step forward, and that's fine as well. But really, the future of gaming I see is also bright, but also can be very, very near the end of its life as well at the same time, depending on how the industry handles themselves and which companies goes for what and what they want to go about doing things. So, in a sense, not to sound cliche, but it's a really 50-50 shot of whether this future is going to be bright for us or very bleak. It depends on so much of what their main goal is, whether it's to have fun or to make something else really enjoyable. There's different aspects to grow on, which is what makes gaming so powerful, and our kind of gaming as well, that makes it influential in many ways. So, depending on how the industry handles their fans and handles their supporters, is really what it comes down to, and what they want to build off of that.
Do you see yourself working with games? I know off camera we talked a little bit about quench that thirst also, or just keep it slowly on the side?
Making a living off of working with gamers and games is not my idea. I would probably leave that to. I think it could be fun, but really, I think for me, I grew up with gaming as just being a fun thing. So I think it should definitely be, it should. For me, it should just be fun. It should just be about enjoying myself with good friends. Maybe once in a while, maybe like I should try my hand at maybe making an idea for a game. But really, it should. My idea for me for gaming should be just staying fun.